All right, so let's talk about this slow cooker pot roast, which is so scrumptious and delicious and such an easy way to make dinner come to life really quickly, and just set it in the morning, let it go all day. So when you come home from work, from school, whatever, it's ready to go. Over here, I have a big old chuck roast, a 3 to 4 pound chuck roast, and you don't want to skip this part. You've got to get the sear. You've got to get that crunch on there. We are looking for texture, and it just adds a beautiful caramelization, and we just love the texture. So I did a very heavy salt and pepper on this, and now we're going to go ahead, and now that it's seared off, she's a big daddy. Hold on. We're going quick. Right in the slow cooker. Keep those drippings in there, though, because these drippings are going to cook up an onion. We're going to get an onion going in here. Now, could I throw the onions right in the slow cooker? You can, but this just adds such a beautiful extra layer of flavor right here to let these onions not only cook a little bit and caramelize a little bit, but also it's going to infuse with all of that beef fat. I don't want that to go to waste. We're going to make a fun sauce. So we're going to let this keep on rolling. You can ignore the pot of potatoes I have next to me. We just really wanted mashed potatoes. We had some left for, that's how I'm gonna serve it today. But I'm not showing you any of that. It's just for our lunch, basically. So I'm gonna go ahead and saute these onions, and while that's going on, let's chop up some vegetables. Now, the classic onions, carrots, celery, and a lot of people I know, when they make pot roast, they like large chunks of vegetables in their pot roast, so they have big pieces to serve. I don't. Here's what I do. I take the time to cut them small, because that way when they cook for 8 hours on low, they get extra, extra soft, and they shrink down, and what's gonna happen? They become part of the sauce. So to me, when we shred this up, those onions, carrots, celery, it's all gonna be inside the pot roast, and it's just comfort food to me. If you'd rather just do big chunks of veggies in here, you're welcome to it, but for me, this is what makes the sauce. So when I do this dish at home, it is all about doing this earlier in the week. Having all your veggies prepped. You know I love a Sunday meal prep. I had my video going yesterday for that. And I love doing, just chopping all these veggies on a different day, so that way in the morning, plop, 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 go to work. And it's ready to go. You can even have the meat seared off if you want to. All right, carrots. Did the 3 regular sized carrots. I'm also gonna do some celery here. And like I said, I cut them a little smaller. How you doing, onions? Give them a good stir. Make sure we're getting all those yummy bits on the bottom there, that these are softening up. Beautiful. Let those keep going. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, with the exception of the hornet's nest that implanted in our master bedroom, making Tommy and I sleep on the couch this weekend. Romance. Not really. With the exception of that, we actually had a really nice kind of end of summer weekend. We went to a friend's pool party, and it was like Christmas morning for me. My friend Troy and Jessica, they have this amazing pizza oven, outdoor firewood pizza oven. It got to like 1,000 degrees, and I have never worked on an outdoor pizza oven before. It was like Christmas morning. I want to tell you, I spent so much time with my kids in the pool. I didn't. I made pizzas all day, but it was so fun, and my kids didn't want me in there anyway. There were plenty of kids to play with. But oh my gosh, that was just one of the highlights, was that pool party and playing with all the different pizzas I made. All right, so now for your onions and carrots, we don't need to saute those up. We're just gonna throw them right in the slow cooker, right over the top of that chuck roast. So now we're gonna make our sauce, which is so delicious and so simple. So what I want to do first is these onions, now that they've cooked down a little bit, let's add in one more aromatic. You know what I'm going to say. Let's get some garlic in here. I got 5 big old cloves going in. You're welcome to use the garlic as well if that makes your life easier on this one. But just give this a nice chop, and we're going to add that right to our onions. Beautiful. This doesn't need to be minced up perfectly, because it's all gonna sink down into the sauce and cook for 8 hours. So we're gonna get that in there. I'm gonna get a good pinch of salt, good pinch of pep, and some Italian seasoning. Give that a good stir. And then while that is doing their thing, tomato paste, you know I love a tube of tomato paste. I keep it in my fridge. You just use it when you need it, so you don't have to keep opening up little cans. And I'm gonna go about 2 tablespoons or so. Give it a good squeeze. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I did that thing where I squeezed from the middle and you had it so nice. I do it with the toothpaste as well. I apologize. Tommy gets so mad at me. I'm sorry about that. And now you always want to cook out for just a moment that tomato paste. Get that raw, harsh, almost like a, it's not a bitterness, but it's definitely a very harsh raw flavor. When you cook it, let it sink down for a second here. That's important. I got some fresh herbs here. You can do fresh or dried, whatever you got around. But right now, a lot of y'all have a lot of herbs sitting in your garden that you have no idea what to do with. So this is one of those. So I got some fresh rosemary. Just eyeball it, whatever you want to do. I think I say to add a couple teaspoons of each, but for me, you can't go wrong with too many fresh herbs. And before I do the thyme, give that one more stir, and now we got to make our sauce. I get these little bottles of red and white wine, just the little 6-pack or 4-packs you can get at the grocery store, because they're so convenient for days like today. So I just get a nice dry red. We got a Cabernet here. Coat the bottom of that pan. And now we're deglazing, right? We're scraping up all this stuff off the bottom and making this tomatoey, oniony, garlicky sauce. Let that reduce down while we chop up our herbs. So I got some fresh rosemary here. Like I said, dried is completely fine. Now, I'm using a chuck roast today. If that's not part of your journey and you want a different, just pick a beef roast. Whatever roast you like. It's cooking for 8 hours. Whatever roast you get will be tender and delicious. I just happen to prefer the chuck, but you do your favorite. Rosemary going right in here. Also got some fresh thyme here today. Is this from out back in the garden? Nice. Sometimes the herbs are from Sarah's garden. Sometimes they're from the pots she planted outside. We're taking advantage of all of it because we know that cold weather's coming. We know it. You can already see this reducing down. Watch when I drag this through. It leaves that trail right there. That's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna chop up some fresh thyme. You know what, I'm gonna throw some whole ones in, why not? It's September, let's get weird. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this fresh thyme in there as well. Just like that. How you doing over here? Oh, you're so pretty. Now that wine is reduced down, the alcohol's cooked out, but that flavor, this is why I didn't add the onions in raw. That flavor of those onions has now soaked up that red wine and the Italian seasoning and the garlic. This is such an important step. So what I do is I kind of make my way. I'm gonna add some beef broth in here. That's gonna make our sauce. And I'm also gonna add a can of fire roasted tomatoes. And the fire roasted tomatoes, I did drain these. I don't want extra liquid diluting this. I've got the beef broth, we're gonna add this in. So get those tomatoes in there. Give those a little zhuzh around. And now the most important, the flavor bomb right here, which again, you can make this ahead of time. Just throw it in some Tupperware and right before you need it, plop it on top. Just make sure it cools down. So I'm gonna do these super flavorful red wine garlicky onions over the top, just like that. Kind of like almost like a little crust that's gonna baste it throughout. And you're gonna set this low and slow for about 8 hours. Now, of course, you can do the 4-hour fast method if you want. I just love, I'll tell you what, I made one already and I did it overnight and I didn't think I would like to wake up to a pot roast for breakfast. It really made the house smell really good. This might be a new trend. All right, so now I've got one ready to go here. You can see how juicy this is. Let's see how tender this is. See if it'll all come out in one piece. I doubt it. No, heck no, because look at. Okay, I'm gonna make a mess and I don't even care. You get these big chunks that are just falling. Come on, you can do it. There we go, look at that. These big chunks that are just falling apart. Yes, honey. And now I'm gonna go ahead and grab a fork, do the shred, and then add it back into those juices so that way the shredded meat, look at this, can you get that? It is just falling apart. Already has great flavor because of that crust and the salt and pepper that we crusted it with, but wouldn't it be so much better if we add it back in to these juices that are just full of veggies? And like I said, I'm gonna be serving this over some mashed potatoes in a little while. But to me, this is a good slow cooker dinner. This is something that it takes a little bit of time, but worth it in the leftovers. Oh my God, they're so good. Look at this, how easily that shreds. There we go now. All right, we're gonna mash some potatoes. We're gonna let this simmer a little bit more.